What's going on, guys? Proto here. Today we're going to be going over the basic step, which is step 0 of the process of an investigation. It's going to be a very short video today. I'm going to be going over just some of the basic stuff for how your system should be set up and then what you should expect for the following videos. So let's get to it.
Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Alrighty, guys, gals, and whatever else. I don't know. I had just like a little disclaimer in there that we should just like rewind. If I had more time, I'd find that like rewind track and like the record scratch, and that's what I would add right here. Today we're going to be going over step 0 of investigations. It's going to be a quick video, a more or less involved video than I normally make. Also, I'm in a different area, so if it sounds different, that's why. But so I was thinking about on my last videos going over investigations, and to give you a little bit of background if you don't know or you're new to the channel or Instagram, whatever, however you found me. I am in law enforcement. I have just about a decade in it, and my most current role was a child crime detective. And so in that, I learned to utilize the OSINT skills that I have a lot more. But then prior to that, I used to train people right out of the academy. And both of those positions taught me the proper ways to write reports. Now, granted, police reports are quite different than other styles of reports, like business reports or doctor reports, things of that nature. But where all of this comes into play for my background is this step 1, which will be the next video. But all of that is going to become kind of the start of understanding why this is important. I'm taking this series. It'll probably be a 4, including this one, which is step 0. It'll probably be a 4 video series on doing an investigation, and we'll go through not an actual, but we'll go through a mock investigation, and you'll see some of those tools and skills that you should work on and try and have if you're wanting to get into OSINT. But so step 0 is going to be this video. We're going to go over some basic things, how to set up the computer, what operating system, a handful of other things, and I'll reference some of the other videos because this isn't going to be a how-to. It's not a how-to set up your OSINT machine, not how to set up your computer, not how to set up whatever else you're going to be using. This is more of an idea of what you should have while you're doing all of this. Video 2 is going to be about documentation, and I think that the documentation side is much more important than any other portion of OSINT. I just dropped the thing that I was playing with, if you heard a little thing falling on the floor. And so if you don't, let's say you do a great investigation, whatever you're doing, you're a PI, you're in law enforcement, whatever you do, you're doing it because you're getting stalked, again, any of those scenarios, but you do your investigation, and then you try, you either don't document or your documentation is unorganized and very poor throughout that entire process. What do you have at the end of it? You truly have a bunch of hearsay stuff, right? You might have screenshots, you might have some other things, but when it comes to actually showing what you have, you truly have nothing. Because the moment that it starts to look disorganized, that it starts to look not as professional, it doesn't have to be professional. You don't have to have a logo. You don't have to have the business in it. You don't have to have things of that style to be professional. But having it organized, having a header, having the different areas that you're working on, having the different subsections for, okay, we're using inteltechniques.com, so we're going to use the Intel Techniques header, and then what we're doing next, people, social media, GPS, all these other things that you end up searching. When it's not laid out like that, it's a pain. And I'll equate it to when I write reports for work. If I just hand a judge and jury and a defense a run-on report, and what I mean by that is just a straight-up Word document, start to finish, no sectioning, no headings, really no formatting. It's just a page. It doesn't look like, one, I took time to do anything important. Two, it's hard to find information in there because, again, it's not sectioned. And three, when I go back to review it, I have no clue where anything is, or I might have an idea of, okay, what they're looking for is probably going to be on page 3, but I couldn't tell you where. Give me a minute to review this. When you start sectioning things out, especially when you're handing it to somebody, they're, one, able to find the information that they're looking for easier. Two, when you go to show it to other people, again, they're looking at it going, okay, it appears that they took time. They appear to know what they're doing, which that's half the battle sometimes, is you just have to know, or you have to look like you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, whatever may be in terms of the investigation, or you may be new at it, and so you may not truly know what you're doing, but having that documentation look proper and you being able to say, I did X, Y, Z, and it's all laid out right here. You can check this section, and then over here on this subsection, it's what you're looking for is going to be right there. And when you can say that without even looking at your paper because you know how you have the headings lined up, or you can point them to at least the subsection and say, hey, listen, I don't know exactly where that's at, but it's on, subsection B. Again, especially if you're not looking at it, it shows you know the information, you took the time to do it, and again, it just gives that more professional look. So that's the documentation side in a nutshell, and a 4-minute snippet. After the documentation side, once we have that all set up, we're going to start, and documentation will cover what we're going to be doing, and as well as the beginning of the investigation. We're going to get that basic information. And then the next portion to this series is going to be, using these resources. We'll spend a short amount of time going through and finding, we're going to hope to find some social media stuff. We're going to definitely find at least an address and a phone number. And it would be awesome if we could find a car. That's one thing that I've always had issues with, is finding vehicles. It's not something that's truly open source. A lot of vehicle stuff is protected personal information, or protected information. I don't know. It's PII, whatever PII stands for now. I can't think of it. But that's usually where vehicles fall under. So if we can find a vehicle, that'd be great. The other section is going to be, or the other portion of that is going to be finding associates. Maybe they have family that we're able to find. Maybe we're able to find where they work, things like that. And I have personal experience with both of those in my own life, not at work. In my own life, I've had to use this to make sure that my family and friends are safe. So there's that little disclaimer, I don't do this just for work. I do this for family and friends. I help them with some other things as well. And then the final video is going to be wrapping everything up. We're going to go over the documentation again, making sure we have everything documented properly. And then how we're going to store it. Are we going to store it on a flash drive? Or are we going to make sure it's encrypted? How are we going to do that? And that end part kind of depends on your use case and what you're kind of looking at as a threat model. For me, it goes back and forth. For work, I had a secure hard drive. Everything was solid in terms of done through the work network, and saved how it should have been. Personal life, it depends. I have a secure encrypted drive that I use for certain things, and then there are other things that I'm not super worried about. My most recent use, I was not worried at all. It was more for my own personal safety, knowing what was going on around me, and so I just have it saved as a file. And I didn't go, and I'll explain this one a little bit more. I didn't go into a lot of depth What I was really looking for is information on the person. What was their violence potential, and what level of safety did I need to put myself and my family at? Is it, was I in danger? Was I, or was my family in danger? Where did I fall in that? And for that, I really don't care on how I stored it. It was personal information, again, all open source, and that's that's going to be up to you on how you store it and what your use case is. So we spent about 10 minutes going over this type of stuff. So let's go to my desktop, and I'll show you a couple things that I suggest you getting started on, or you get set up prior to next week for this first go around. Alrighty, so let's see if I can do this. We're gonna pause this. Alright, it looks like we're back. Perfect. I had to grab I have a little 7-inch monitor for my Raspberry Pi, so I grabbed that since I'm in a different area and don't have my other monitor. So what are we going to be needing? First off, we're going to be needing some type of virtual machine. So, like in my other video, you can use one of two things, or one of many, but you can use either VM Workstation or Oracle VirtualBox. Those are the two that I went over, and so those are my suggestions for you. Now, what are we going to be doing with those? We're going to be using a virtual machine. Here are my suggestions. So we're going to go to Intel Tech. I can't spell Intel Techniques. Alrighty, so we're going to be going to Intel Techniques, and you're going to be going over to the OSINT guide. It should be the first thing here, and get this book. This book is the 10th edition. Sorry if that sounded odd. I just hit my mic stand and it's going wonky. This is the 10th edition, so it has a bunch of different information on it. It's the most up-to-date. It has the most important thing in it is going to be the Linux update script, which is the script that you can take and then use to make whatever Ubuntu version you have. I believe the most up-to-date one and the one that they use is 2004, the LTS. Take that, you use the update script, and it turns it into the book's OSINT machine, I'll call it. The other portion of this is it's a great book. I have two of his. I don't have the 10th, but I have the 9th. And I believe I have the 5th. I don't remember which one I have. I have two. I know that. But again, you have to pay for this. I don't condone the illegal search and download of books, so I won't be doing that. However, if you want to try and do that, that's on you. My word of caution is you're dealing with computer books, and so you want to make sure that they're actually safe and not just another virus that you're going to get. Two, there are certain times where it's amazing to help somebody and to, buy into what they have. I use Ryan's book, Cromany, what's his name? Totally Not a Hacker. I bought his book on Linux, or on Go, sorry. I'm not going to ask him for a copy. I'm not going to ask him for a digital download. I wanted to make sure that he sees the fruits of his labor in this, and he put in a bunch of time, so I think that he deserves to get paid for it when I'm using that information. Same thing with this. These are amazing books, a bunch of information in there, and I think that if it's solid, you should buy into it. However, if for whatever reason you don't have that money, or that's not your thing, you really don't care about that, then that's on you. Now, the other thing that you can do is, if you go to Google, I can't type today. If you go to Google and you know anything about Intel techniques, you'll know that Michael Bazell had ran a VM called Buscador. Now that's not ran anymore. That went down, and then once he started his books up, it got replaced by the books. But you can do what's the word I'm looking for here? So you can try and find and back in 2019, you had the Buscador stuff, but you can try and find the OSINT machines, and this is the one that I was looking at, the nixintel.info. It's an old one, but it is a multi-part blog post, and it's not super out of date. I think, yeah, their last update was in 2020, so it's not super out of date, but it's out of date. But it goes over how to set it up. It goes over the tools and everything like that. Which, again, if you don't want to buy the book, you can look at this. I'll put both of these links into the description. Not paid by either of them. I have no affiliation with anybody or any links. I don't think I've said that in a while, but if I tag anybody, if I post any links, if I do anything like that, there's no monetary gain for me on that. So after this, after you get this set up, you're going to want to have some type of ability to save it. So I have all of my stuff saved on hard drives. I have two external hard drives. I have an SSD and a HDD. One's 2 terabytes, one's 256 or 500 gigs, don't remember. I prefer the SSDs. They're more expensive, but they're a little bit better. Not a little bit, they're a lot better. Or you can just use a flash drive. Whatever, it's up to you. Or you can, if you have a machine that you want to do this on, I don't suggest doing it on a hard machine. I suggest using a virtual machine, but you can do that too. Now, going through, it should install everything that you'll need. Following either of these, either this one or the Intel Techniques Guide, you should have everything you need. I'll do one more plug for this, for the OSINT book. When you buy it, you do get updates now. Not now, but you do get updates for anything else that it does. So the updates that he's making for the machine and resources that for the 10th book, I have access to. If you buy the, whatever it may be, you'll have access to all of those updates, which is important to have because you don't get it with this. Or at least it doesn't seem like it. So you go through this whole process from Nixintel, and then that's it. That's all you have. So that's my little soapbox on paying for things, Google dorking if you have no objection, and then other ways you can do it. You can also use Tracelabs VM. It's another one you can use. We're not pen testing, and with the Tracelabs you don't get as much information and as many resources, so that's why I chose to go by the book. Now the other thing that we're going to need for the documentation side, notes. I use Cherry Tree. So the reason that I use Cherry Tree is one, that's what the book used. Callie has it, and I like Callie's page on this. So Callie has Cherry Tree on it, and that's where I got my first, look at it. Then the OSINT book uses Cherry Tree as well for some of the documents. I like it. I can use it on my Linux, on my regular PC, and if for whatever reason I get a Mac, I can use it on my Mac. But those are the two things that you're going to need for sure. And then as we go through the course, I might think of other things, but for now, this is what it'll be. And that's kind of where this process is going to end for step 0. making sure that you have everything you need set up. And again, that first video is going to be more that documentation side. So as we go through things, if you realize, oh, I don't have this, you'll be able to download it. Step 2 is where we'll actually start getting into the meat and potatoes of the investigation. So we're at 20 minutes. I wanted to keep it at a 10-minute video, but I tend to ramble. So we're at 20 minutes now. I appreciate all of you guys watching. Appreciate you being there during the breaks that I've been on. Go ahead and check out some of these people that I tag in my videos and such. None of them have paid me. None of them have asked me to do it. It's just people that I've talked with and dealt with, and I really like them. So there's that for you. Homework for this week, if you want to do it, set up your OSINT machine, download Cherry Tree, start messing around with it. Don't let it that first video, or don't let that first investigation that you do be the first time you're using something. Play with it. If it's a virtual machine, you have the ability to make that clone, so work off of the clone. Break the clone if you want. I've done that plenty of times. And then go back to your original, make a new clone, and see if you can fix what you broke on the other one, and try not to break that one. And if you break it, so what? You go back to the original clone and keep working, or whatever snapshots you take. All of this is about learning. So I appreciate you all. Thank you all for sticking around, for just being there with me while I do this, and supporting me through this all. Have a great rest of the weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday.
Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions.